Janet McKee here from Sauna View, wellness expert, speaker, author, certified high performance coach. Everything is about teaching you how to be healthier, happier, so you can have greater energy to experience everything that you want in life. And I'm passionate about helping you live a better life, which is why we founded Sauna View. And so today I'm live because I promised you last week when I was talking about using all of this wonderful produce from the farm this season, because we're in farming season, and how to be able to keep them and eat them all year. One of the things I mentioned is healthy fermented vegetables. And that is a great way to preserve food that you can consume all year round. But what's so important to understand is the incredible health benefits of fermented foods. Traditional cultures all had fermented foods in their diet. And what that provides you, if it's done correctly and in a healthy way, is beneficial bacteria for your gut. And you may have heard about that, like with probiotics or other healthy fermented foods, but this is so important. This is more important than anything you may have ever realized. And this is why I want to bring it to your attention. Because when you have healthy beneficial bacteria in your gut, your entire health and well-being is dramatically improved. So, beneficial bacteria in your gut not only helps your digestive system work properly, which is very important for digestion and elimination, but also 80% of your immune system relies on beneficial bacteria in your gut. So if you don't have enough beneficial bacteria, your immune system can't do its job to fight and prevent illness. So it's so critical. And then you might think, well, we all have beneficial bacteria, that shouldn't be an issue. But there's too many things in our society today that causes us to lose our beneficial bacteria, especially antibiotics. And I'm not a fan of how often antibiotics are just being used, very quickly. Definitely we need them in certain situations, but they're used too often in too many situations that aren't as necessary. And I've recommended to you before that if you would just consider getting some raw garlic in your diet, which is a natural antibacterial and antifungal and antiparasitic, then you wouldn't need to take antibiotics. And why is that important? Antibiotics not only kill the bad bacteria, but they kill the beneficial bacteria. And you need that beneficial bacteria for your health, not only to support your immune system and your digestive system, but did you know also to support your emotional health and well-being? Studies have shown that people with high rates of depression and anxiety do not have enough beneficial bacteria in their gut. So what we teach you here at Sauna View is all over mind and body, health and wellness, not only with the physical choices that you make, but the thought processes that you choose. And that is why we're right now giving away a free introductory course to our Triumphant Life of Abundance video series, which you absolutely want to take advantage of. So make sure, we'll provide a link for you here on this post, that you go ahead and get access to that, because we're giving you all of the tools you need to help improve your thought processes, to improve your life, so that you can experience all the abundance you need and you desire in your life. But it all comes down to feeling fantastic. And I am one that I know how to feel fantastic every day. And people don't know how fantastic they actually can feel. And so a lot of the basics that I teach you I've been covering. And so I want you, please like us here at our Janet McKee fan Facebook page. Share it with others and follow us so that you'll get all of the information you need to live a better life. Okay, so fermented foods, what are some options there? I am a fan of taking some probiotics. I'm a huge fan of incorporating raw unpasteurized apple cider vinegar in your diet. As a matter of fact, in the morning, I recommend to my clients, and I do it too, I drink 2 glasses of water in the morning because you want to be hydrated for everything to work properly. And then I put a splash of apple cider vinegar, the raw unpasteurized apple cider vinegar, into some water, and I take it like a shot. And I also love to use that vinegar for salad dressings. Well, that vinegar has beneficial bacteria. It has the mother in it, and very good for cleaning out your liver and gallbladder, very good for providing beneficial bacteria. And it's also good for so many other things I'll tell you about on another day. So that is a very healthy fermented food. And of course, what I'm going to teach you today is healthy fermented vegetables. This is sort of along the idea of traditional sauerkraut, but the way they make sauerkraut in this country anymore is they're heating it and then they're putting it in these plastic bags and you buy it in the grocery store. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about taking raw vegetables and then cutting them up and fermenting them in either sea salt or the raw apple cider vinegar. Those two type of fermentation ingredients create what is considered a healthy fermented vegetable. And what you can do with this is just eat a little bit with each meal or a little bit each day, and it provides incredible, incredible health benefits for you, which is what I want to do. So at Sonneview Farms, of course, we are inundated this year with red cabbage because we just planted a ton of it, and I love to eat red cabbage. It's the most wonderful thing to just slice and put on any fresh salad. It's great on even different types of tacos and sandwiches, but it's incredible because it has a great source of antioxidants, and it's very inexpensive to buy in the store. So this is really good high-power food for a low cost. And I love to even just shred it up, put some cucumbers, tomatoes, whatever I have, and then a normal vinaigrette where I use olive oil, cold pressed olive oil, apple cider vinegar, and sea salt, and I toss it up and eat it just like a salad. And that is so fantastic. As a matter of fact, I've noticed this summer that because I'm doing so much red cabbage, that my digestive system is just working perfectly, and I really feel fabulous. But I want to be able to enjoy my red cabbage all year, so I want to do fermented. People are afraid to do fermented foods because they think it's so dangerous and they might do it wrong. And I'm going to teach you today that you cannot make a mistake. It is so easy. And follow my instructions, and we'll try to make sure you also have access to written instructions that we'll include for you at some point. I'll attach it to this link. Okay, so all we basically want to do, the idea here is we want to take the red cabbage, and you're just going to shred it up into some pieces like this, as you see. And then we're going to take this, and don't mind my hands, my hands are nice and washed, so we're going to be really working with our hands today, so you can use those cooking gloves if you want, if you're concerned about that. But in any event, we've got a simple bowl of red cabbage. Shred it up. Then we're going to add sea salt. And I'm just going to quickly show this to you here because we won't have time to get it completely ready to go into the jar, and I have some already prepared. So I have the sea salt on the red cabbage, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start crushing it with my hands so that we can start allowing the sea salt to draw out of the cabbage the liquids that are naturally in the cabbage. As a matter of fact, just as I do this, I can already feel it getting wet in my hands. I don't know if you can see that. And the more you work this, and then sometimes you might need to leave it sit for a little bit and let the sea salt do some of the work, and then continue to work it, you will end up drawing liquid out of the cabbage, and this is a key factor. Two things act as a preservative in the fermented red cabbage. One is the sea salt, and the other one is the liquids from the cabbage. And as long as the cabbage is under its own liquid, and you can even add a little bit of water, then it will not go bad on you, and it'll allow the fermentation process to happen. I am not a fan of buying all kinds of fancy cultures and things to add to simple fermented vegetables because the natural beneficial bacteria that we need from the cabbage is already on the cabbage. And by bringing this all together and giving it the perfect environment to ferment properly is exactly what we need for perfect health, the way Mother Nature intended. So do not be convinced by someone that you need to buy all kinds of fancy ingredients and contraptions to do this, because it is not necessary. All you need are these basic, simple ingredients that anyone has in their household, including a ball mason jar. And I recommend that we're going to use balls made in this country because jars made in other countries could have lead in the glass. And since we're going to be sitting and fermenting and allow this to work, I don't want any lead in my fermented vegetables. So very simple. I also have this, I guess what is usually like a meat mallet, but we don't eat meat in our household. So I like to use it as an option if I want to crush up, keep working my cabbage. Okay, for the sake of time, but you can see that it's looking wet, right? Now, what I've done for you already here is pre-worked, and this actually already started to ferment for us. I'm going to wipe off the spoon that fell and show you now what we do. So the cabbage is worked and ready to go, and I think I'll put it right back in this jar here. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill a mason jar with our shredded, salted cabbage. And the key thing here is, and this is where this tool or mallet comes in handy, is you want to keep pressing it down. Because the idea is we're going to keep having it, am I in a bad place for the camera? Keep having it pressed down under its own liquids. And as I get it in here more and more, you're going to see more of the liquid come to the surface. Now, the idea again is, as long as the cabbage is under its own liquid, the liquid and the sea salt or the apple cider vinegar act as preservatives. You do not have to worry about the fact that we're actually going to sit this at room temperature for a period of time. Be careful with the red cabbage because it makes everything really red and drippy. And you definitely don't want to get that on your clothing. So I keep filling the jar. You'll be amazed at how much goes in here. Now people will ask me, well, how much sea salt do you put for the cabbage? And it's per taste, by the way. So let me just mention, as you work your cabbage, I want you to determine the amount that makes sense for you. And don't hesitate to just taste it and see if the amount of salt is good for you. I like to do 2 teaspoons per pound of cabbage, but that's my own taste and preferences. And I want you to choose what appeals to you on that. There's no scientific amount that it needs to be. Okay, so what we're doing is we're filling this jar all the way and pressing it down so it's all under its liquids. You can see there's a lot of liquid in the bottom of the bowl here, so I'm definitely going to pour that on top. It's amazing how much comes out. How are we doing with the camera? Good? Let's see. Okay. So you see how, as I press down, the liquids are coming to the surface. Now, some people will put something heavy on top, like a lid or something, to make sure it stays pressed down. I've seen some people put like a Ziploc bag filled with water, because what we're going to do is just put the lid on, but not super tight. And we're going to let this sit at room temperature. I prefer to put it in a dark place, like either under a dish towel or in the cabinet. Especially if you're doing green cabbage, because you don't want a whole lot of light getting on it, because the green cabbage will sort of turn brown. Oh, look at my hands. But we're going to just let it sit. And I want you to let it sit, and each day check on it and loosen the lid, because it's going to start to percolate, and sometimes the bubbles come up and might drip out the side. And make sure you have it on something that won't get damaged from the red juices. And you're going to keep letting it sit. And I want you to give it, check it at 48 hours, and then maybe 5 or 6 days. Check it each day, but at that point I want you to taste it and see what the texture is for you. If the texture is to your liking, then it's done and ready to put in the refrigerator. And in the refrigerator, it will last a very long time, like at least a year or so. Here's what's happening. As it ferments, it'll start getting softer and softer. And if you let it ferment too long at room temperature, it'll start to get mushy. So that's why you want to taste it every few days and decide at what point is it just right for you. And then moving it in the refrigerator, it will stop the fermentation process. Isn't that interesting? Now, you may remember your grandmother from Germany or whatever doing big crocks of sauerkraut in the basement or in the cellar. And they would sit with a big heavy stone on top, if anyone has ever seen that, all winter long. Well, because it's in a cooler temperature, it's fermenting slower. But we're doing it in room temperature. So you may think, okay, that's kind of weird that we've got this raw cabbage and the sea salt and it's just sitting there at room temperature. Like, is it going to go bad? It doesn't go bad as long as it's under its liquid. It's on liquid. Sometimes people will have an experience where they see the cabbage at the top looking very strange, or could even get something growing on it. I don't want you to be afraid of that. You definitely don't want to eat that. You just want to scrape it off and throw it away. As long as everything else is under its own liquid, you are perfectly fine. Do not be afraid. What we have here now, then, is beautiful jar of healthy fermented vegetables. I love the red cabbage. It's one of my favorites. And I want you to know you can also ferment all kinds of vegetables, but I like the chunkier vegetables, not like green leafy vegetables because they can really get mushy. Anything you want in there. Broccoli, cauliflower, you can put some garlic, other seasoning. It is really fun to play around and see what you like. Of course, my favorite is the red cabbage. I love the color, I love the texture, I love what it tastes like. And what you've done is something so simple. It costs you pennies. You can do it right in your own home with the materials that you have available to you. You can't go wrong, you can't make a mistake. And you end up having a little condiment to have with any meal that gives you incredibly powerful nutrition, antioxidants, and the most important thing for this conversation is beneficial bacteria. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Janet McKee, founder of Sonaview, wellness expert, speaker, author, certified high-performance coach. I'm here to teach you how to advance your life. I want you to live a dramatically healthier, happier, richer, more vibrant life, and beneficial bacteria is key. Thank you. Take care. Love you.